And good morning, everybody. This is Art Shed. It's time for the show. Let's be reasonable. And of course, you know, we decided to spend a little bit of time today talk about the Washington Post article about the magnitude of Pence refusing to endorse Trump. It's by one Aaron Blake. Um, Washington Post, New York Times, Barron's, Forbes, Fortune, probably more so those four. I read Fortune, but not as much as I used to. Those are probably four of my major publications. So I guess I'm giving you a bird's eye view of what's in Art Shed's head. So that's where a lot of it comes from. But again, this article comes from the Washington Post. Uh, Look, I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to run you through this and then I'll tell you my thoughts about it. The article, not that long. And if you're a person that likes to read it, shouldn't be long of a read. It takes 4 minutes if you wanted to listen to it, right? Um, Talks about the notable individuals who have decided to endorse Donald Trump. Everybody from Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, the governor of New Hampshire, Mr. Sununu, um, notable people in the Senate. And of course, then it also talks about people who haven't or have withheld their nomination, like Nikki Haley, um, and a list of others. There's like 44 cabinet members who have held off on endorsement. There are people who have come out flat out and said that they're not going to endorse. So that's really been interesting too, like Mark Esper, uh, Mattis, um, John Kelly, and a few others, right? But the reason given for Mike Pence not endorsing Donald Trump is the fact that for Mike Pence, he's not conservative. And Mike Pence is on record being a Christian, a conservative, and then a Republican. And of the three, he's saying that Donald Trump is not conservative. Now, I could tell you that. And in fact, I did tell a lot of people that in 2015. I had a radio show back then with one other person. And we'd have people come on the show. And I could remember one episode. I'm like, this, first of all, I said, Donald Trump's an idiot. And I wasn't being mean. I was just saying, this guy really doesn't know a whole lot, right? And the other part was I knew he wasn't a Republican. That was clear, even in 2015, as he made his way down the escalator. Once he started talking, he didn't sound like a traditional Republican to me, right? So I knew that. But anyway, so the article, he's not conservative enough, but he was willing to run as his number two, knowing that this guy wasn't conservative. Why would you do that, right? Doesn't make any sense. So is it a surprise at the end of the day that he decides not to endorse Donald Trump in 2024? No, I'm not surprised. But the reason given, yeah, sure, we know or I do, know he's not conservative. But the real reason that Mike Pence is not going to endorse Donald Trump in 2024 is one, he's not on the ticket with Donald Trump. Okay. So he has actually unburdened himself in a number of ways by not being on the ticket, right? But the other reason is because I can guarantee you, Mrs. Pence probably sat down with her husband some morning and asked him a point blank question as to if he planned on endorsing Donald Trump. And I can assure you that much like the George Stephanopoulos episode where he tried to pin Mike Pence down when he was governor about the religious freedom bill. If you recall, back then, another issue, by the way, where Republicans were saying that religious freedoms were under attack and all the rest of it. Nobody was attacking religious freedom. It was a made up, again, it's imaginary. I mean, look, and even if I'm segueing, I promise I'll get back. But even if you had the president of the United States, or Barack Obama at the time, I guess when he was running it, made a comment about people in the Midwest clinging to their guns and religion. Even if that's the case, nobody's out there telling you don't go to church. Nobody's out there telling you to, give up your Christianity and all the rest of it. No, nobody's out there saying that, right? So he's on with George Stephanopoulos. And George Stephanopoulos spends really, it was about 15 minutes trying to nail down Mike Pence and this this bill about religious freedom and what it really meant for people that were of the LGBTQ, all of those. He's trying to nail it down, but Mike Pence is just answering every other question and just word salad, word salad, word salad, right? For 10 minutes without answering the question. So, get back to being at the kitchen table. I imagine that for about 10 minutes or so, Mike Pence hemmed and hawed with his wife to where she basically just told him, you know what? Don't endorse Donald Trump 2024 because the man tried to have you killed and tried to have your family members killed because they were there with Mike Pence on January 6th. So that was the reason why. But again, in the article, Mike Pence isn't going to tell you that, right? And this is where I tell people like and subscribe. Give me your comments on the other side. I may be being too harsh when it comes to Mike Pence, but I got to tell you, I live in the state of Indiana, so I've kind of grown up with Mike Pence. I remember Mike Pence when he was on WIBC radio. I remember when he became a sitting congressman from, I can't remember which district it was, but anyway, I remember when he was Congressman Pence. And I remember when he ran for governor and became governor. And of the three entities, I like the guy that was on WIBC better than the other two. And again, a lot of it is because, well, I guess I anticipate that a guy on the radio is going to hem and haw, vacillate one way or the other way in order to give people the right to feel a certain way or whatever, right? But as governor, first of all, I thought the whole religious freedom thing was made up. It's fictitious. Like I told you, nobody's trying to take your religion from you. Not at all. It's just like the CRT and the, protecting kids from sex ed in third grade. There's no sex ed being taught in third grade, and there's no CRT being taught at the high school or the elementary school level, right? Fictitious, imaginary issues. And that's what Mike Pence, as governor, provided you. And at the end of the day, when he latched himself on to Donald Trump, and remember what I said earlier, Donald Trump, he knew Donald Trump wasn't a conservative then. But why did he latch himself onto it? And I believe he latched himself onto it because he thought that it would bring him power. But ultimately, it exposed him to be a buffoon in a number of cases. Not a good look. So the magnitude of Pence refusing to endorse Donald Trump means absolutely nothing. Evangelicals aren't there for Pence. They're really not there for religion. They're really there for power. But look, that would be the same way with Democrats. Sure, Joe Biden may be old, but you're not going to pull that lever for the other guy because your guy's old. Even though he's old, you want the power. And that's what it comes down to, power. So, at the end of the day, Mike Pence is where he's supposed to be. And nobody cares. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe and give me your comments. Hey, I'm just being reasonable.